A bit of backstory. I finally started to get serious about manifesting, law of assumption, and Neville Goddard, and my life has actually changed drastically. I've always been into manifesting, but the most I would do is listen to subliminals and then wake up disappointed that my desires weren't here. I would literally listen to subliminals while thinking about how sad I was about my weight. But I've finally been reading up and learning about the law, and I decided to get serious. I've been affirming all day, truly acted like I had my desires, ate like I had my desires, and every time I found myself thinking bad about myself, I would just persist and affirm. In about a week and a half, I've lost 10 kgs with minimal diet changes and just walking. This is the fastest I've ever lost and the fastest I've manifested. So if you're feeling discouraged or like you want to give up, I urge you to keep affirming. I haven't seen anyone in a few weeks, but today I went to my sister's house and she told me, "You look like you lost weight." And this just made it 10 times more real for me. This is a short one. I've lost about 80 pounds through manifestation only. For those of you in the comments asking how, Neville already said it. Change your self-concept. Do the work. All I've done is say, I look like Lara Croft whenever I think about my body or my weight. The method isn't really that important. How you feel when you think about yourself is what matters. I used to struggle with my body, from being an overweight child to developing an eating disorder, hating my body, regaining weight, and obsessively controlling my diet and exercising. Now, using the law of assumption, I've dropped all that and finally have my ideal body. I'm slim, toned, and have the perfect hourglass figure with curves, effortlessly. Here's what I did. I started to appreciate my body as it is. Whenever I looked in the mirror, I would find something I loved, hug my body, and say it was beautiful. I stopped letting food and exercise influence me. I changed my beliefs so that the only thing with power to change my body was my mind. I started believing that calories don't exist, and food was nothing other than taste. Now, I eat loads. I bake cakes almost every day, have whole bars of chocolate in one sitting, peanut butter by the spoon, but also lots of colorful fruits and veggies. I just eat whatever I fancy and only get out on walks a couple of times a week, and my body doesn't change. For the first time in 7 years, I haven't counted any calories, because I realize they don't make any sense, and that food has no impact on my body. People always say that I eat loads, but I never gain any weight, because I don't believe that food has any power to change my body. Before I start eating a meal, I thank the food and I eat it with gratitude. I started believing that I was naturally thin and telling myself this. I photoshopped a picture of me to be my ideal look, and then I would look at that picture and say, wow, I'm so grateful for my beauty. I also would pretend to get on a scale and pretend seeing my ideal weight, but I didn't actually weigh myself for a week. When I did, it was the weight that I had been visualizing, in only a week. Now I don't weigh myself too often because I know it'll always be the weight that I'm visualizing. I don't let myself think anything other than that I am at my ideal weight. I'm naturally slim, and that food has no effect on me. If any other thoughts come up, I just think that's not true. So there you have it. My body changed within 1 week and has stayed that way for a month now. I'm very grateful. One of the ways I've seen how the law works for me is looking into my own past. My successes and failures prove it, and weight loss is a great example. I haven't ever been thin. Ever. Not until I decided to be happy anyway instead. It was a radical life change and a conscious mental shift. Part of it was a decision to be more positive all around. Something really weird happened. I lost weight. I could wear a bikini at the age of 45 for the first time in my life. I was a size 4. I had never been that small. It was just that I didn't focus on it anymore. It was an all-day, everyday obsession like it had been in my youth. I used the law without knowing it. I realize that now. I look back on my perceived failures and realize I manifested them too. But with weight loss, I never went back. It finally clicked for me the importance of cultivating a feeling of self-love. Also, I realized how important it is to change the belief about something rather than focusing on the physical results. I did a thought experiment where I would think, if I were completely healed of blank in this moment, and I was at my ideal weight, would I mentally feel healed and strong and fit? When I started doing that thought experiment, I realized, no, I wouldn't. And that's because even if I did experience the physical results, I still didn't believe mentally in the result. That's when it struck me how important it is to work from the inside out. So when the physical changes happen, they feel natural for me to claim them. Now to my manifestation. For years, I weighed the same. I'm a 21-year-old male, and all through high school and the first 2 years of college, I weighed 135 pounds at 6 feet tall, which made me quite skinny. I started thinking, my body is a physical projection of how I feel. Maybe I just feel thin, fragile, and weak. So for the past 3 weeks, I began working on the belief that I am strong, easily gain muscle, and have a fit, muscular, manly body. My lifestyle, diet, and workout routine didn't change. I only went to the gym 4 times this summer. For the past few weeks, I didn't have a scale, which was good because I couldn't check for immediate results. About an hour ago, I weighed myself and found that I am now a solid 150 pounds. This happened within a couple of weeks. I'm so satisfied and happy with myself, as I had envisioned being 150 pounds when I imagined gaining weight. I then looked in the mirror and remembered how natural it felt. After all, I am strong, fit, and muscular. Around the holidays, I'd put on some unwanted extra pounds. I was not happy with the new look and the way I felt. I didn't like how my clothes were fitting either. I had for about the last 4 to 5 months been trying to be on a healthier diet and shed a few. I wanted to feel healthier and look slim and fit. I had no success. I would go on a strict diet for a day or two and then fall off. After some failure, it finally hit me. Every time I would think about myself, I would say, I need to lose weight, or I'm not happy with how I feel, or I'm getting fat. My self-talk was doing its job very well. If I need to lose weight, that means I must be overweight. The law is perfect, so I was overweight. I changed my self-talk. Instead of anything negative, I would think or say to myself, I'm healthy, I'm fit, and I look great. Within 2 days, I was able to start a strict diet I earlier failed at. When temptation to eat junk food came, I just repeated to myself, I'm healthy, I'm fit, and I look great. Even though I didn't really feel or look healthy or fit, I stayed true to the law. After 2 weeks, I mentally became a healthy, fit person, and the diet was enjoyable to follow. I lost about 15 pounds the first month, and 10 the second, and 5 the last third month, for a total of 30 pounds. My external world matches my internal talk. I'm healthy, fit, and I look great. I even suggested this to a buddy who was struggling with weight, and he lost 15 pounds. The law works. It's always working. Pay close attention to what you tell yourself. Thank you, Neville. No filters, obviously. The second photo was taken with flash on Snapchat. The first was taken without flash, also on Snapchat. I used to get new pimples daily, and I've not had one since Monday now. My skin was actually worse than the before shows, as it was way more oily in texture than the camera picks up. My chest and my back look similar. The skin on my chest especially was always rough and dry. It is now soft and smooth to touch. I decided to apply the law now because I usually use a moisturizer, which is very difficult to obtain in my country and very expensive. So at first I thought to manifest a free bottle, but then I wasn't really living in the end, so I used the lotion to get good skin. So I decided just to get good skin. I stopped with skincare completely because if my skin was perfect, why would I need it? I broke out the first couple days, which is the usual result of me trying this before, but I didn't care and just kept going. A week later, my skin looks like this. To me, it was easy. I already had a good self-view of myself and I wasn't really too bothered about my skin, but I still thought I was beautiful. I think this was very important. At night when I'd go to sleep, I'd use SATs, but also I'd revisit every time I looked in the mirror or used a camera and change the memory of what my skin looked like. I then decided what was the correct memory. I would hear people comment on my skin, compliment me in my imagination. I didn't write it down or repeat it throughout the day, only before bed. I also read a lot of Neville just to learn more, and I think the best you can do for your own success is to actually read the material. I read success story after success story, but never saw results in anything before I actually listened to Neville in his own words. To be honest, I can't believe I'm writing this post. A couple months ago, this would have seemed like a miracle. In May, I had a patch of acne pop up on my cheek. This was super unusual for me because I only ever got the occasional pimple, and I figured it would go away quickly. Weirdly, this patch of red, flaky, rough skin stayed for months, and it was making me super insecure. After reflecting on my thoughts, I realized that once the acne had stayed for a couple weeks, I had flipped to assuming that it would take forever to go away, and that I needed to find the perfect product that would get rid of it for good. This was a 180 from my mindset before May, which was that I had clear skin and had nothing to worry about. If I had pimples, they would go away in a few days at most. When I realized that I was creating this reality, I switched my mindset entirely to living in the end. If I saw my face in the mirror, I would smile and think to myself how clear my skin is, or how amazing that the acne disappeared so quickly. I stopped using products that I was using only out of desperation, since I assumed that the acne wouldn't recover without them. They were probably irritating my skin, and I kid you not, after a week, my face was entirely healed. This is another example of the law to me, and I literally feel like this is a miracle, since I thought that it would never heal. The spot of skin where it used to be is super smooth and healthy. In the before photos, I'd been using several products in attempts to clear my skin. My skin actually got a lot worse after I started using the products, but I assumed it was just purging. I eventually gave up and stopped using products because I got lazy. Although my skin did clear up a little more after the purging, it wasn't much better than it was before I started my routine. The results weren't worth the money or the time. So, every time I looked in the mirror, I assumed that I had such clear skin, and I took it off the pedestal. Sure enough, it manifested within a couple weeks. My skin got even clearer than it ever was before I ever used the products. My friends and family started parroting my affirmations to me, like random friends who I wouldn't expect would just look at me and be like, "What's your skincare routine? Your skin is so clear." Now I don't get acne. On the rare occasion that I do, it's because of PMS. When I see something on my face, I genuinely believe that it will go away on its own, because my skin is just naturally clear. I've been maintaining my skin for months now without using a single product, and it really works. Trust the law. I learned about the law of assumption and started applying it to my life about 1 to 2 months ago. I would like to share my height growth success story and my experience with the law. I think I was about 5 feet 4 when I started. I'd been listening to subliminals with deep frustration until I discovered Neville Goddard. I was learning and obsessively scrolling through this subreddit and YouTube, constantly stressed out and fearful. My thoughts and mindset were completely out of control. I've changed my mindset so much that I barely remember what I did to finally calm my mind down. Meditations helped, but what truly made a difference was realizing that I'm the observer of my thoughts. I discovered this by actually studying Neville's teachings. I bought the Essential Collection off Amazon and casually affirmed it would arrive in 2 days, which it did. I didn't know the supposed delivery date since someone else ordered it for me. Some may call this a coincidence, but it's not. You're the only causation of your reality. Being an observer of your thoughts means recognizing that you are not your thoughts. That little voice that tries to sneak up when you're not aware, that's your old state. It's not relevant anymore. So keep thinking and choosing your amazing new positive thoughts for the amazing life you've always had. Now, about my height growth. To be honest, this wasn't my main goal focus. From what I know, the reason why this was so easy to manifest for me is that I had no opposing thoughts. Plus, I was focusing on other desires. I had no idea what my actual height was, and I only knew if I had grown based on my mom's height. All I did was affirm, I'm 5 feet 7. It was a bit difficult at first, but through persistence and some quick revision of my thoughts, it became natural. Let's say that 10% of my thoughts were about my height. One day, I realized I was the same height as my mom, to my surprise. By Thanksgiving, I was taller than her. At the Thanksgiving party, practically everyone noticed how tall I was. To this day, I still haven't measured my height. I just know that I'm 5 feet 7, because my thoughts create my reality. In my opinion, what works for others won't always work for you. It's more of a journey rather than I'll try what this person did for one day and see what happens. I didn't really visualize or do SATs. I strongly recommend that you start with yourself, your self-concept, your core beliefs, your mindset. Mind controls all. Your mind is the most powerful thing in existence. We are all consciousness, and consciousness created this whole universe. Go read Neville and change your core beliefs and mindset. Tell that little negative opposing voice, no. I'm the one who creates my reality and chooses my thoughts. You can get out of here. Find what works for you instead of scrolling through countless success stories. Even now, I'm still on my law of assumption journey and I have absolutely no regrets. Some days will feel off, and some will feel great. If you need a little push, ask yourself what you're having trouble with, fear or anxiety. If you really need it, just watch one video about how to handle it. That's it. The rest is all you. Ask your subconscious, it knows everything. Throw your old state out the window and get that wonderful life you've always deserved.